A shaman is a medicine person who, the best way I can explain that is many, many years ago, we had medicine men and women, and this was in the days before we had doctors and medical schools. Every community had a shaman, and the shaman took care of the community, and the community housed and clothed and fed and took care of the shaman. And the shaman was like the doctors of today. They took care of all your ailments, all your injuries, your illness, your disease, your situations. Even if you had a situation that was a problem, you would go to the shaman and the shaman would help you with the situation. About 20 years ago, I was a welder in the power plant in Providence, Rhode Island, and I loved my job. We were living life in the fast lane. We had the Corvettes, and we had the furs, and what do you want for Christmas? Another pair of diamond earrings and everything. We were having a blast. Husband and I, beautiful son. Everything was wonderful, and we were raking money hand over fist. And I really was the first woman welder in all of New England Electric System, and I was very proud of that. Until one day, after about 20 years, I fell. Working on a job, I fell and I broke 2 vertebrae in my back, L4 and 5. And I was out of work for 10 months. And I was up at Mass General Hospital, and the doctors there told me that if they had done surgery, if we were to do this surgery on me, that I could very well be in a wheelchair because they had not perfected that technique yet. Well, I can't begin to tell you how scary that was. It was really scary. I was terrified. The thought of being so young and being in such a wonderful life, to be thinking that if I did this surgery that I'm going to be in a wheelchair, it was impossible. I couldn't even grasp that idea. So the doctor says to me, go home, I want you to think about this, think about it long and hard, talk with your husband about it before we make any decisions. I cried so hard all the way home that my husband picked up a magazine. He would have done anything in that car to stop me from crying. And he grabbed a magazine and he picked it up in the doctor's office and he said, here, read this magazine. And I looked at it and it was about holistic healing. I had no idea about holistic healing. I didn't know what it was. I never even heard the word before. I started looking through this magazine, and there was an article about a woman doing shiatsu. And as I read, shiatsu is an oriental massage where they use their hands, their fingers, their thumbs, and they work along these lines in the body called meridian lines, like a mapping system, and it releases blocks, and they remove pain. And I thought, well, I'll give this woman a call. So I come home from the doctor's with Al, and I called her up. And she said, a 2-hour session was $90. And I thought, that's absurd. I have a copay. That's okay. I have a copay. I have Blue Cross. She said, well, we don't take Blue Cross. And I thought, that's absurd. I have a $5 copay. I can't pay $90 when I have a $5 copay. I'm not going to pay that. So I thanked her. Thank you very much. I hung up the phone and I said to Al, oh, that's crazy. We can't do that. We got to find something else. So Al comes through the kitchen, opens the door to the garage to throw the garbage out. And there's 2 Corvettes sitting there. He had his, I had mine. And I looked at that car, that $40,000 car, and I said to my husband, I'm willing to spend that much money to heal my back. Whatever I have to do to heal my back. And that was the only way I justified spending more than that $5 copay. So I went to see that woman, and that was Nancy. Beautiful, wonderful woman. And she helped me. I saw her twice a week, then once a week, and then every other week. And she helped me get back on my feet, and I was walking, and I was doing good, but I still had pain. And she taught me how to manage the pain, but I still had a lot of pain. And one day she said to me, Elizabeth, you need to see a friend of mine. That friend was Judy. And Nancy had helped me so much, I said, you know what, I'll go see Judy. And I walked in Judy's office one day, and I thought, wow, who is this lady? But Nancy helped me so much, I'm going to go. Walked in Judy's office. And there was stuff hanging on the walls. I couldn't even identify. I didn't know what it was. What's that? And she had beautiful tapestries from all over the world. And she had animal things, feathers, and just beautiful, beautiful stuff, and rattles. And she said, honey, can you get on the floor? And I thought, well, this lady's crazy. She wants me to get on the floor. I can hardly walk. And I got on the floor. I said, I'll help you out. And she took a rattle, and she shook a rattle over me, and she said a whole bunch of words I'd never heard in my life. And I'm thinking to myself, what's this lady doing? And then she took some Florida water just like this. And she went, and she sprayed this stuff all over me. And in my head I said, oh my God, this lady just spit on me. What did she do? And she said, can you get up? And after a 1-hour session, I got up. And I had no pain, not one bit of pain for 9 solid years. But when I got up in her office that day, I'm looking for the pain. I couldn't find it. I'm moving this way, moving that way, and I'm saying, where's the pain? And she said, how do you feel? And I looked at her, and I said, lady, I don't know who you are. And of course, working in a power plant, I used all the swear words. I said, I don't know who you blank are, or what the blank you just did to me, but I gotta learn that blank. And she said, honey, as quiet and as beautiful as she was, honey, first you learn new vocabulary and then I will teach you. And I began studying with her that night and that next day. And I studied with Judy. And then I couldn't get enough fast enough. I studied with her and her teachers. And then I ended up studying with their teachers in Peru, in the mountains of Peru. Okay, so this is the mesa. And the mesa is a medicine bundle that the shamans have. They have these mesas. And what it's made out of is this cloth is called a mastana. And the mastana, in Peru, the women weave the mastanas, and you'll see that there's always a seam here in the middle. And this seam is because their weaving looms are only this big. So they weave them in the center and they connect them. And that's how they put them together. Okay, so every tribe in Peru has their own weavings. And here's another mastana. This mastana here, these are the weavings of the specific tribes of the Q'ero Indians. The Q'ero Indians are from the mountains of Peru. And what happens is, as you grow up in the Q'ero nation, the Q'ero Indians, and the Q'ero are believed to be the direct descendants of the Inca. So the Q'ero will raise you with the teachings to train you as an adult as you're growing up in their family. And so the shamans would teach the younger children their ways. And they would begin in the work of the south. And the mesa is all about directions. You have the south and the west and the north and the east. The work of the south. The south is where you learn how to shed the past, so the past no longer haunts you. And in the west, it's about stepping beyond death, stepping beyond fear, facing your fears head on so they no longer haunt you and they no longer can scare you. The work of the north. The north is about the wisdom of the ancient ones, grandmothers and grandfathers and ancient ones. Learning to communicate with those that have gone before us and those of us yet to be born. Then when you work into the east is about becoming the visionary. It's about walking hand in hand with the Creator God that gives you the breath of life. And so when we need to begin a meditation or a journey, or when we're looking for information from God and we're doing our prayers, we begin with something called opening sacred space. Opening sacred space is calling to the four directions, Mother Earth, and above God. And it's something like this. Sachamama, Great Serpent, Mother of the Waters, come to us. Teach us how to shed the past the way that you shed your skin. Teach us how to walk softly and gently on the belly of Mother Earth. Come to us as you protect us and guide us always. Aho! Wind to the west, Atarango Jaguar, we call on you, Jaguar. Teach us your ways. Teach us how to live with impeccability and courage. Teach us how to step beyond fear. Teach us the ways of the warrior who has no enemies in this world or the next. Come to us. Protect us and guide us always. Intitaiti Fadisaniale Tixi Widakocha Pachiachichi Wakantanka. Great Spirit, God, you who are known by 1,000 names and you who are the nameless one, come to us. Come to us as you protect us and guide us and teach us your ways and bless us always. We are energy. As human beings, we are energy. This human flesh will one day go to waste. But the soul, which lives 1 inch in and 1 inch up from your solar plex, right here, is when moms get that gut feeling. That's where your soul is. Your soul lives right inside your body. And when this human flesh goes to waste one day and we pass away, the soul doesn't die. It never dies. The soul is going home. And that soul is energy. The energy responds to vibrations, and it responds to a frequency. And so if a person has depression in their life, or anger, or hatred, those are lower vibrations. And what that does to the energy field is it lowers your vibration, it lowers your frequency. You can actually measure it with a meter. And so when a person is in the lower vibrations, anger, depression, jealousy, hatred, the quickest way to get up out of those lower vibrations, to raise it up a notch, is to get into a state of curiosity. If you got into a state of curiosity and started analyzing, oh, I'm angry today. Does that anger have a color? Does it have a smell? I wonder if it took a shape. What shape would it be? As soon as you start analyzing that vibration of anger, it will immediately rise up, just a smidgen, out of the lower vibrations. And it will raise it up a notch, which then again will be easier to raise up even higher. The highest vibration of all is unconditional love. The unconditional love that a mother would have for a child or newborn baby, or even a puppy would have for its owner. This is the unconditional love, the highest vibration of all. And so what the shamans do with their medicine bundle is a client would come to see them, and they would work with their medicine bundle, and they would use the rocks, and they would talk with God. They would go up and have communication with God, and they would listen, because God speaks to us in many ways. And they would know what God is talking, what God is saying to them. And with this, they're able to help many people on many levels: mind, body, spirit, emotion, on the level of the soul.